All right, welcome back to It's Time Picks. We have UFC Fight Night, Vegas 93. Alex Perez versus Tatsuro Taira. We are now down to 11 fights due to several cancellations, changes, and all sorts of goofy ass shit. Hopefully we can make something of this card. It's a bit of a mess now, but not much we can really do about it. Joey, what do you think of the card?
There's some decent spots on the card as a whole, but you know, now going down to 11 fights, potentially there's going to be if you get the right chalk right, and then I think that's where you can really score pretty well for DFS wise.
I definitely agree. And the card did get shuffled a bit, but we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Very first fight of the night will be Julia Pilastri against Josephine Knudsen. I've been waiting for Knudsen to get back into this ever since her debut, where she was extremely dominant against a no-name fighter, but dominant nonetheless. She fought back in September of last year, making her debut. Now she gets her second fight. Joey, where are you leaning in this one?
I actually think this fight could be very competitive on the feet. But I do think Newton can mix in takedowns if she really needs to secure rounds. But one thing I will say is this dog, I think if you really told me if she fought her debut versus Martin Command, I think she could actually finish Martin Command. I'm just shocked that Knudsen couldn't. She don't really have the power quite yet. But I'm actually gonna go the dog right here. I think she's well rounded. I know there's times where she can get taken down, but even when she does get taken down, she's always working her butterfly, always trying to attempt submissions, even try to sweep underneath, and that's gonna score well as a dog, especially if she gets any type of win as a whole for 7,100.
I don't disagree. I said in my article that this fight is a lot closer on paper than many would probably believe. But that being said, she has not fought anybody that has the technical striking that Knudsen has, and she showed it off in that debut. I don't, doesn't matter who it would have been against. That was a beautiful striking display, and I think we see more of that. I do have Knudsen, but I wouldn't be surprised if the dog won a round. But more or less, I think Knudsen does take this all in a 30-27 decision.
No. I think honestly, the way that Cutson does striker style, just a T bit, you know, Poultry usually having the girl come forward pressure to her. And once she does usually get hit, that's when she tends to wake up and really start brawling with you. She's the more live person. If you told me who got a finish, I think Julia could probably get the finish.
I don't think she finishes her.
Cheers,
I do
mate.
not. I do not see a finish in this fight.
Hey, if one was to, I think it would be Julia. If it was to. But that girl Clemson got no finish ability.
Well, we are split on the very first fight, and it just means that you should go with me because Joey sucks on first fights.
Not always.
So next up, we have Shaylin Nerdembeek against Melquizael Costa. I will continue to say it over and over. I do not think that Costa is that great of a fighter. I think he only has the one win against Austin Lingo, which wasn't really saying much. I said Steve Garcia would murder him in his last fight, and he absolutely did. I'm in the same boat in this one. Shaylin Nerdenbeek is much better all around. He is probably an excellent play for this whole slate because he can mix in striking takedowns. He can finish us early. There's all sorts of stuff this kid can do. So I really like Nerdenbeek in this fight.
Damn, I actually was hoping that you were going to go with the overrated side of Costa. Is Costa maybe slightly a tad bit more rounded? Yes, but his IQ absolutely sucks. His IQ sucks. He
No,
didn't do a
he's
damn
not
thing
well.
against
He's
Garcia.
definitely not better, more well rounded.
Eh,
Not anywhere close.
I think his striking's a tad bit, but besides that, I'd give definitely Nerdy B getting almost every other area. His cardio's better. He actually damn near should have finished Garcia in that matchup, but he decided to just grapple him and not really do too much with it. And that could have been a big dominant win for him, seeing how Garcia is actually doing decent now. But yeah, Nerdy Beak, he's well rounded. But one like I said, he will mix takedowns and he will hold you down, and there's a good probability that you're not getting up. So at his price tag, was he 77? I think, or 70. Yeah,
He's a
77.
dog.
Okay. Either way, he's a dog. He's a great dog option, especially with this smaller slate now. He might be a popular dog, but like I said, but that's a dog. If it hits, it's gonna be chalky, and he's probably gonna score around 110 to almost 120 if he does what I'm fully expecting him to do.
Definitely. So both of us are with the dog in this fight, Shaylin Nerdenbeek. Next up, we have Jekka Saragi against Weston Wilson. And how you feeling about this one?
So my head is absolutely gonna say Sarah Gargi, but for the love of God, someone actually asked me today and said, if one person's gonna lose out of the bunch, who do I think? I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Since Gardy looked like absolute dog shit against Jubilee. If you tell me you do get inside of Wilson and somehow he ends him on top, Jubilee looked like a fish on his back. That was the only imaginary thing I said. The only way Wilson could win this fight if Jubilee's dumb enough to grapple. But I think at some point he's gonna end up getting a TKO within the first second round.
I completely agree. Weston Wilson has shown us nothing. I did say in my article that if he has figured something out, because he does have 16 wins and 16 finishes, he does know how to fight. It just appears that he doesn't know how to fight in the UFC, considering he's been knocked out in the first round of both fights. That said, Jekka has a ton of power, and I will be all over him in this fight. I like Jekka Saragi a lot in this one. So
I'm good. My TV was about to be loud as hell.
both of us are on the favorite in Saragi. Next up, we have Carly Judas against Gabriela Fernandez. And this is one of my favorite fights to target because Gabriela Fernandez has been absolutely just terrible. She lost to Jasmine Jasudavicius, which is a good loss. Don't get me wrong there. And then she came out and fought Teresa Bleda, which is a fight she should have won. Bleda was tired and she was still just beating the shit out of her. So I have no faith in Fernandez whatsoever. Carly Judas in her contender series fight against Ernesta Caracate had 170 strikes. And that's big because her foot was fractured in that fight. And I don't know how many people know that, but it was literally fractured. She wasn't going to fight. She said, fuck this, I'm going to fight. And Dana White gave her a contract because it was a good fight and she looked good. So I absolutely love her in this one. The only way I see Fernandez winning is if she can get her on her back and just leave her there. I don't see it happening. Judas is my favorite dog on the slate.
So one thing I will say at least about for Fernandez now is her stylistic type of fight. Okay, now I can finally do a striker versus striker. Even then, like yeah, she might be the more athletic striker, but as a whole, I don't like her IQ on her strikes. Yeah, Carly, like she came in only 3-0. She somehow got the overall contract, even because she looked pretty damn good in the loss. Um, when someone's that young, they usually tend to develop at a more faster pace. They can grow more into the game. I think her speed is going to be a big factor in this matchup. I think even if Fernandez tries to get close for clinch, it wouldn't shock me if she even gets a takedown off a body clinch. It wouldn't shock me because for every time Fernandez tried to defend a takedown, it was absolute dog shit. So yeah, I do agree. I hope she's a lower owned dog, but I have a feeling that someone's gonna go to ownership to her, maybe a T bit. But she's also another great options dog.
Do you know her story? How she got into
Not her
fighting?
full story.
Hmm?
No.
So she was actually a softball player,
Oh shit.
played in college and did all that. And when she was finished playing that, she went her brother told her to come back home, and instead of doing what she wanted to do, he said, come work out at the gym, come train at the gym, let's make you a fighter. And so she did that, and then all of a sudden has learned all of this and has looked tremendous for only having a few
Mhm.
fights and being that green. So will she make mistakes? Undoubtedly. She's way too green in order not to, but man, she is an athlete and I think she's going somewhere. So you're going with Carly as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Both of us are on the dog in this fight as well, Carly Judas. Next up, we have Nate Maness against Jimmy Flick. And I think this fight could be a lot more dangerous than people realize. But let's see what we got in this one.
Uh, I'm not trying to disrespect Flick. I'm really not. He is a talented grappler in his own right, but I don't think he can punch himself out of a wet paper bag. But like I said, he'll go for the fight. Either you hit him, you gotta finish him to actually get him out. Because you make one bad mistake of either clinching up or taking him down, you're in his world, and he has a good chance if he gets any part of your limb, he will make you tap. But I think Menace is a good chance. Like I said, he's a strong guy. I don't know how he makes 125 personally. He's a big dude as a whole, but hey, his takedown defense has been improving. His main losses are very two or three top contenders.
Yep.
So you can't. I'm not taking too much away from that. I think within the first maybe 1.5, maybe within the second round, it wouldn't shock me if he finally gets Flick out within 2.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Manis is actually he's a really good fighter. His two losses were to Tagir Bekov and Umar Nurmagomedov. That's two really good losses, and doesn't really say a whole lot about him except that he just needs to get a little more experience. His other 4 fights, he won 3 of them by finish himself, and he's got good power. We've all seen Jimmy Flick try to win a striking battle, and it doesn't work. He's lost 7 times. He's been knocked out 6 of those times, and I fully expect it to happen again here. Now, if he does somehow manage to get Manas on the mat, we could see Flick pull off the an upset submission because he is very slick down there. But I don't see it happening. I think Manis does knock him out, but it would be wise to take Flick in some GPP contests just
Definitely.
because. So both of us are on the actually quite heavy favorite, Nate Manis. Next up, we would have had to get Ulanbekov and Joshua Van, but Ulanbekov came in heavy because he's a fucking dipshit. Next up would be Adam Fugit against Josh Quinlan, and I know we are split on this fight. Um, I was on Quinlan for all 3 of his UFC fights. I took him in all 3 of them. And the first one was against Jason Witt. Witt is
Easy.
absolutely terrible, and he's got the chin of an egg. Um, Next up, he fought Waters and then Danny Barlow. And I had him in both of those fights. He got
Not
murdered
me.
by Waters. Murdered by Waters. And then he came in and fought Danny Barlow. Barlow was making his debut, I believe, or maybe it was a second fight. It's one of those two.
Debut.
But both of these guys had at least a 5-inch reach advantage. And now he fights another guy, Adam Fugit, who has also 5 inches of reach over this guy. And I'm the guy that took him over Kinoshita when Fugit was a massive dog. Uh, I love Fugit in this fight. I have no faith in Quinlan. Quinlan has looked terrible in all of his fights, except for Witt when he just happened to square up on him. And could he square up on Fugit? Absolutely. I don't see it happening. I love Fugit for this. I think Fugit knocks him out.
Ooh, a knockout from Mr. Adam Fugat. Um, this is one fight I think you gotta get one part of a side on for definitely for GPPs. Could either side finish in this fight? Absolutely. It wouldn't shock me by one means of unnecessary. You know, is I think Fuga's the more well-rounded guy. Absolutely, I think he is. But one thing I wish he did a lot better was actually use his range. Because I know sometimes he does get closer brawls. And all Quinlan really needs is that one hand just to land. And Fugit could get knocked out. That's the one realm of possibility I see. Because I think this is almost like the Soriano in the last Soriano's last fight versus who do you fight?
Not even close to that type of fight.
You don't think so?
No. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Who did Adam Fugit lose to?
Mike Malott.
And the other
Oh,
really high flying prospect, Michael Morales.
oh yeah, there you go.
Those two are up here. Josh Quinlan is way the fuck down here. It's not even comparable. So no, I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I think Fugit is being way underplayed and undervalued.
Quinlan by knockout. Go sleep.
So
Say
we
drink.
are we
Go
are
to sleep.
split on that one. Josh Quinlan is going to get knocked out. That's Joey's pick. I've got Adam Fugit, who's going to do the knocking out. Next up, we have Asu Almabayev against Jose Johnson. And where are you at on this one, Joey?
I'm actually shocked Johnson made fucking 125. He a big dude. 6 foot at 125.
Thought you were about
Damn.
to say that you're taking Johnson.
No, fuck no. Absolutely the hell not. His only way of winning if somehow
Is
Almabayev gets
by not
lazy.
fighting.
If he gets lazy,
DQ, that's his way of winning.
if he leaves his neck out there, that's the only freaking way that Johnson would actually maybe win because of his limbs. That's the damn thing about it. So I think I'd probably bet like probably a 5% chance. I think Amabayev is gonna do whatever the fuck he wants. He's gonna
Yep.
come forward. I think honestly, I don't even think he even needs to land clean up top necessarily. As long as he throws it, then he transitions to go for the body takedown. He's gonna do what the fuck he wants in this fight, and this fight is gonna be under probably 1.5. As a bet, I wouldn't mind that as a bet either.
Yeah, no, well, I don't think it'll. I think it goes over 1.5. I'm not sure that Almabayev finishes him, simply because he likes to
Showboat.
just he just likes to fuck people up and just keep them. But yeah, Almabayev is better in every facet of this fight. I don't see how he loses unless he gasses out and Johnson just does something stupid. Um, Almabayev should just murder in this fight. And now that Elise Grov is off this fight, Almabayev is the best and safest play on this card. Definitely just lock him into any cash lineup. Both of us are on Sue Almabayev. He is a heavy favorite in this one. Next up, we have Garrett Armfield and Brady Heastand. And it sucks that Heastand is fighting Garrett Armfield because Armfield is going to kill him unless Heastand can somehow get this to the mat. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to. It is possible. I know you mentioned that Heastand said that he wanted to come out and strike.
Show
I think that would be absolutely dumb against Armfield because Armfield is light years ahead of him in striking. But you never know. Either way, I like Armfield in this fight. I think gets it done sometime in the second round, maybe third. I don't think it'll be a first round, but yeah, I do like Armfield in this one.
What sucks about this matchup, I like both sides. I'm like, shit. But then I really thought about it. Who really had the realm of possibility of really getting a live finish? I was like, then I saw the interview with Brady. He said, yeah, I do want to test striking. Okay, could he want to test it and then change levels? That's probably a good portion of his game plan. Try to throw, change levels. If he really tries to strike, he's going to get lit up like a fucking Christmas tree. I hope I'm wrong because I like Brady, but I just think somewhere under 2.5 in this fight. And I think Armfield's going to probably get a nice TKO.
Yeah,
You can
definitely.
get that between plus 250 to plus 300, depending on your sports book.
Not bad. So both of us are on the favorite in Garrett Armfield. Next up, we have Lucas Almeida against Timmy Kwamba. And I don't know where you're at on this fight, and you're gonna go first, but I was very confused by the odds in this fight. So let's hear what you got.
I know me and you've been on Almeida since day one. More you than me. I'll give you credit on that. Um, I want everything in my power to hope like Almeida's story is similar to Dominic Reyes, him just getting finished, and then comes back and just starts lighting up a prospect everyone's high on. That would make my day happy as shit. I know Kawamba, he had his short notice against Oki, and some people really could have gave that fight to Kawamba. Um, Now he's back to his natural weight. You know what? One thing I'm gonna do, and I think I know where the hell you're going with this. I'm going with my gut and I'm going with my balls. I'm going Almeida. I think Almeida could finish him. I think Kawamba could come out too aggressive, similar to Oki. And I think there's a chance that he gets walked into a big ass counterpunch. Maybe he can get caught with a TKO or even get his neck snatched.
So here's where I'm at. I am also on Almeida, and I was on Almeida when the fight was announced. And then I saw the odds, and I was very confused because I don't understand why Kwamba is the favorite in this fight. Kwamba lost his debut against another debuting fighter. He won his contender series, but barely. Theoretically, I thought he lost it, so I don't even think he should have won that. It shouldn't have been a split decision against Oki. It should have been unanimous to Oki. And Lucas Almeida, yeah, he's lost 2 fights in a row, but go look who he lost to. He lost to Andre Fili, who's currently in the top 7 or 8, and he lost to Pat Sabatini, who's also a top 15 fighter and continues to dominate whenever in most of his fights. That's 2 really good losses. And the caliber of fighter is so much higher between those two and Kwamba. I don't get why the odds are the way they are. So I've got Almeida all the way. He's one of my favorite plays, and I hope he goes low ownership because he's dangerous.
Yes, I agree with that. Big time. You think he's gonna be
So
low owned?
I do. I
Yeah.
do. So both of us are in cahoots with Lucas Almeida, the dog in that fight. Next up, we have a fight I have zero interest in, Miles Johns and Douglas Silva de Andrade. And I say that because Miles Johns, he does not score well in DFS. He is a very defensive and technical fighter, and he does it very well. He knows what he's doing when he's in the ring. He doesn't flinch, he doesn't crack. He's got very good defense. He's very hard to hit. Douglas Silva de Andrade is very different. He likes to just go in and throw and throw and throw. And you can't do that against a guy like Johns because Johns is just going to throw straight down the middle. And it's going to be a very slow back and forth, low scoring affair. I think Miles Johns gets all 3 rounds, 30-27 unanimous, but only scores like 80 points in a win.
Well, good thing I don't need to say everything you just said because that's probably damn near everything I was gonna say. I'm also on John's. So if you want to do anything, if you to me personally, I don't like to use this word for L for lock. You could parlay this fight to go to decision with any other fighter I think you're confident with, and that could be a decent two-legger, depending on what you like.
I can
So
agree with that.
so yeah, I do like John's by decision. The one thing I would say is like, if someone is going to get finished, I think Johns would be the one to get finished because Andrade is a powerful old bastard. Um, but yeah, realistically, I think the wildness could maybe hurt him because Johns could mix in maybe a couple takedowns. He is a good wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, just anything DFS don't touch. My honest opinion. Like I said, you can. I think this bet fight go decision easy parlay piece.
I will say this. So Miles Johns is now 30,
Mhm.
and they say that most fighters enter their prime once they get into their, 30, 31, 32. We could see an evolving Miles Johns really soon. And if he starts throwing with more oomph behind it and he just gets more
Nice
power, because
content.
he's already got power. It's there. He doesn't like to let his hands go very much. If that happens, we could see a very dangerous fighter, someone that could encroach on the 15 and then potentially more. So keep an eye out for that. It is something to watch. Johns is a good fighter and he's very defensive. So
You
both
know
of
what I
us.
also noticed?
Oh, what?
One thing about Mahjong that I didn't even notice. It seems like he's been in the UFC for forever, personally, but he is the most quietest 14-2 fighter I've ever fucking seen.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody, I was like, nah, he probably has like 5, 6 losses. I go back, I'm like, wait, what? 14-2? Then I went down, I'm like, wow, okay. I'm sorry, because I was about to disrespect the shit out of him this week. But I'm like, nope, I take it back, Mr. Mile Jones.
Yeah,
But
no. I
nope,
I do. Part of me does feel like he is going to evolve real soon here, so
I
we'll
agree.
have to keep an eye on that. But both of us are on the favorite in Miles Johns. Next up, we have the main event with Alex Perez and Tatsuro Taira. And I would assume that we're both on Taira, but let's hear where you're at.
I'm not gonna lie to you. For some reason, when we first saw it was gonna be Tyra and Vaughn, I was questioning like, why the hell are you doing this? Then they made the switch to both, and Tyra got the main event. Vaughn was supposed to fight Erlen back off. I heard some kind of a staff, and then he missed weight. Um, for some reason, I was thinking, do I think this line is a tad bit high, even though for Tyra not really face anybody? Maybe just a T bit, not a lot, but just a
No,
T
I
bit.
I, I agree.
I thought maybe Tyra would be like maybe a minus like 135, maybe minus 140. But I do think this fight does finish under 4.5. If you can find that. I think I don't see this fight going to the scorecard. I think there's chances when Perez gets close, try to go combinations that get inside. I think Tyra's gonna catch him, he's gonna clinch him, he's gonna put him on his ass, get him right down. I think he's gonna look more control over try to find a finish early, get some dominance in. And I think Taira within under 4.5 is probably going to get a submission.
Definitely a major possibility. I there's a the biggest reason that I like Taira in this fight. So you got to remember Perez has fought the best of the best in the division. He's up there. He also just beat Nicolau. He should theoretically have, if he wins this, he'd probably be in line to fight another, maybe one more before a title shot. And Taira's kind of, in the same boat now. But Taira, this is the biggest fight of his career, and it's not even really close. So there's a lot of GPP orientation to this fight. That said, Perez likes to, when he throws, he likes to walk in and he throws very wild. And you can't do that against someone like Taira because Taira doesn't have a ton of power in his hands. So he just throws down the middle over and over and over. And someone that's throwing looping and hooking shots, you're just going to get pieced up constantly. And Taira's going to avoid all those hits. He's going to just put him down, and it's going to be a long fight for Perez if he does not come in with a more settled mindset. So I'm looking forward to this fight. I do think Taira comes out. I do like Taira in this fight for DFS and pretty much everything. So both of us are going with Taira in this fight, and that wraps up this baby 11 fight card.
Ooh.
Yeah, it sucks that it's down to 11. It really does. But one of the fighters that was on this card,
Biggest
uh,
favorite.
Ikram Aliskerov, is now fighting next week against Bobby Knuckles. And, overall, next week's card is almost as good as the 29th card.
Yep.
There's a lot of really, really good fights on this card. There's some debuting fighters. We get to see Shar Putin again, Magomedov,
Oh.
Sergey Pavlovich. We get to watch another 60-second knockout.
Who's he fighting?
Volkov. So
Uh,
Volkov, he's gonna crumble just terribly. So I'm looking
Jesus.
forward to that card. And then in 2 weeks, we got a big card that's completely changed, but we'll get back to that at another time. Joey, you got anything else to add for this card?
Uh, I'm not trying to give nobody no advice. I don't think this is the DFS thing to absolutely throw all your bank on.
No, fuck no. Any
Don't do
11
that.
fight, 10 fight card, don't do that.
No. Unless you're fine with potentially winning some chalk money. Hey, money's still money, don't get me wrong, but this is the type of card I might throw my piggy on. But
Definitely.
hey, as long as you get your dogs right, you can damn near play whoever the hell you want.
Yeah, I agree. So that wraps this up. And good luck to everybody. I hope everybody wins some money. Hopefully we help you do that. Until then, we will catch you all next week. And as always, we appreciate you watching.